During the Face It Major in London, it emerged that NiKo had taken over leadership duties for FaZe, and when this materialised into a permanent change, the writing was on the wall for Carrigan's time as part of the international team. Now playing with the additions of NiKo and Adren, FaZe have looked suspect on their terrorist halves, particularly experiencing issues in the latter stages of the E-League Invitational, and today we'll be exploring these issues alongside assessing the part NiKo's calling plays in these deficiencies. Throughout the video we're going to look at some terrorist rounds from FaZe on Mirage and Inferno, with all the games being played at the E-League Invitational. To kick off with, we're going to start on Mirage, and in these first couple of rounds we're going to see some indecision coming out from FaZe. So at the beginning of this round, automatic solo push top mid with Azorb and Court Guardian, who is posted on top connector, and here was also a small lapse in concentration from NiKo, as he really wasn't ready to trade out Guardian. Jumping forward a little, we can see that FaZe has 2 towards bottom mid, 1 Palace and 1 jungle. So here NiKo is going to smoke off jungle and Olof is going to get boosted into window, with the idea being that a player in jungle will have his attention taken away from holding the window boost, and Olof might find an entry kill for FaZe. The thing you guys need to note here is the clock. We are at sub 20 seconds left and NiKo is still stuck in ramp with the bomb, and even if they'd found the entries going onto the site, then the time would have likely lost them the round regardless. Reflecting on this round then, I don't mind NiKo's call here in this 4 versus 5 scenario. It's a bit puggy and risky, but being a man down, there's certainly a case to try something a little unorthodox that might catch your opponents off guard. My main gripe is how much time FaZe wasted achieving next to nothing before collapsing onto the A site, and this is very likely because NiKo wasn't decisive after going a man down, with it appearing like it took a good 20 to 30 seconds for a call to be made, which doomed them come the end of the round. Getting into this next clip, we're going to see a very similar round to the one we just watched. So again, at the start of this one, FaZe goes down into a 4 versus 5, and Olof dying here looks worse than it is, but I do question why he wanted to run up Cat in the first place. Also, if you're wondering how Orti could see round that window smoke, it's because he pre-mollied the smoke, which leaves a gap on the right side. Regardless though, let's look at how FaZe decided to approach this man down scenario, and skipping forward we can see that FaZe are spread out with Adren in Palace, Rain in connector, Guardian on short and NiKo working into apps. So Guardian here is going to try and pick onto the B-bomb site, but unfortunately goes down. Now I'm just going to pause here and let's take a look at the map. There is about 40 seconds left, the bomb is in T-spawn and FaZe are spread out all over the map, and it just makes me think, what was the plan here? Was the call literally just to spread out and look for a pick to even up the man disadvantage? Whether this was the call or indecision again coming out from NiKo, the clock went too low before FaZe were in a position to hit a site, and basically the only way they could win this round is for a massive individual play or mistakes from Cloud9 to give up their man advantage. Moving on to this round, we're going to see an unusual and loose round coming out from the international team. So at the start of this round, NiKo threw the mid default nades, then fell passive top mid, Olof is in under, Guardian holding the aggressive apps AWP angle, whilst Adren and Rain are going to throw the jungle and stairs smokes with some flashes to fake out an A hit. So watching this one play out, Rain fell back, worked out top mid, and now is trying to shift into ladder, but will go down to flusher, and Olof is going to get a little unlucky as Kiyashima swings out window, and now into a 3 versus 5, this round is essentially over for FaZe. Now I've watched this round through a few times and I cannot for the life of me work out what the call was here, and also why they bothered throwing the jungle and stairs smokes. If I had to guess, it's something like they want to take pressure away from mid, but in terms of what you get out of the utility, it just doesn't seem worth it in my eyes. The big problem I have with this round is where is the team play. FaZe are so spread out for the entire round, and although some might think that Rain was just unlucky that Flusher was in ladder, there were loads of places where Rain could have gone down from coming out top mid into working down short, and the whole time there is zero trade potential. Let's just quickly look at an example of hesitation from FaZe during an execute. So here Olof was solo towards top mid, throwing the mid default nades, and what FaZe want to go for here is an explosive hit out of ramp with jungle and stairs smokes. As we can see, Rush is going to find a kill onto Rain here, NiKo trades him out, and meanwhile the smokes are coming over. What FaZe do now is hesitate on going out onto the site, and it takes them a good 5 seconds to commit. Now to some this might seem insignificant, but on Mirage's A site this is a big deal, as it means the jungle and stairs smokes will probably fade before FaZe can comfortably get a plant. So in NiKo's defense, after getting spotted close ramp, what would probably have been best was to cancel the hit, but the smokes had already been thrown when the trade kill was found, which meant it was much harder to make a decision. But with that in mind, I do think FaZe would have been better off committing straight out regardless of the trade, or falling back into something else like run boosting guarding out top mid into splitting onto a site perhaps. Moving on to Inferno, things certainly looks better than on Mirage, possibly because the map is more terrace sided than Mirage. Also, Inferno is a smaller map with fewer choke points, so naturally you tend to group better and retain higher trade potential. So at the start of this round, Olof on a good spawn took the AWP and got himself in front of Logs to fast contest banana control, and around that FaZe ran a fairly default round with 3 towards banana and 2 taking apps control. Here then, FaZe found the opening kill, and now in a 5 versus 4 it takes NiKo a while to make a call on what to do next. Anyway, the call comes in and FaZe are going to wrap onto B. So 3 players get out into brackets, and then Rain and Adren move towards the arch side. So here Rain really didn't expect Rush to be playing an off angle on arch, and Adren is way too far back to find the trade kill. Also on B, NiKo and Olof got smoked off, so they ran back to A, but ultimately ended up saving when Guardian went down. The first issue here is that FaZe were too slow in moving into this play. They probably still had enough time to pull off the round, but it would have been pretty close, especially with the smoke going down on close B. What I question more is why Guardian doesn't go with the other 2 towards arch. I'm fairly sure here he wanted to catch a short player pushing for information when the wrap came in, but perhaps they should have just grouped more, being in a man advantage. Also, the spacing between Rain and Adren looks really bad, but Flusher fired some shots to bait in Rush, and Cloud9 had gambled into the correct stack in their man disadvantage. Getting into the following round, in this match FaZe are going to buy around the saved guns, and as we can see their weaponry is far from perfect. So earlier on, FaZe had 1 player in banana and contacted him with the AWP for some fairly early brackets control, but Cloud9 took banana back during the mid round. So again, in what is becoming an obvious trend, FaZe burnt about 30 seconds here, doing basically nothing apart from holding re-swings towards brackets before squaring up for what I think would have been a wrap onto the A site. Unfortunately for FaZe though, Flusher picks the perfect time to swing out and finds 2 kills before getting traded out, and at this point Cloud9 have the man advantage plus the information, and this means FaZe are in a terrible spot. Also at the end of this round, I have no idea why Olof saves instead of running in and dying, considering they were at the max loss bonus. As we've already seen in previous examples, playing too slow can open up loads of problems. Now here certainly, Flusher got a bit lucky to find 2 kills, but from the perspective of FaZe, it's because they're moving between things so slowly that they open themselves up to these sorts of plays, and I saw them fall victim to several mid-round CT aggressions or info plays during these matches. Another thing to note is that FaZe did not go back and retake banana on this round, perhaps because of their low nades, but regardless they were lucky that Cloud9 did not have a 4th player towards the A side when they went for the hit. Overall on Terraced Inferno, FaZe's trading was decent throughout, and this round you'll see in the background now is probably their worst showing on that front. Let's reflect on how FaZe tends to approach terrorist side Counter-Strike. On most rounds I think they are fairly aggressive and decisive with taking map control, but on loads of occasions slow right down before working onto a site. Perhaps this is due to the way NiKo is calling, maybe he's calling to default or take map control, but not how the round will end from the start. During these clips I've likely painted a pretty bad picture of FaZe's strength on the terrorist side. In late round 4v4s and 5v5s with low nades, I do think FaZe are pretty good, with much better comms and awareness than other international teams. In terms of the basics of playing these maps, it's all there, and all 5 of the FaZe players are very experienced in how each map plays. Focusing more on NiKo, I think his round-to-round calling is fine. Pacing towards mid on Mirage and Banana on Inferno was fairly good, and I don't think FaZe is incredibly predictable with their calls. On the other hand, we have seen that hesitation and being decisive when calling during the mid-round are where the cracks start to show, and I don't feel like there were many rounds during these games where a really great call or read won them the round. In terms of setting up the team overall, and this is where we have to bring NiKo into the equation, I think FaZe for at least certain scenarios needs some more structure and set rounds. I think they should default less and add some plays and early executes so they can build a half a round. Examples of these would be Astralis' 5 smokes Mirage B executes, or how Ents and Mousesports built train T-sides around the sandwich and E-box smokes, and I've done videos on those topics already, so if you want to learn a little bit more about those, check them out in the description. So, do I think FaZe needs to overhaul everything? No, I don't. It's more that right now, at least on these maps, I don't think they are nearly as complete in their playbook as other top teams, and especially versus sides with good AWP mobility and structured CT aggression, more so than Cloud9 or Big. I think they'll struggle to a larger extent. So is NiKo to blame for their terrorist issues? As of right now, I would say he is the main factor, because holding the mantle of being in-game leader means you take on accountability for the team's overall approach. Moving forward, I can see FaZe getting better as Adren gets more comfortable, but the main thing will be how NiKo and NiKo work together to improve his calling and shape the overarching philosophy and direction of the team. Anyways, why don't you comment below with your thoughts on FaZe and how you think they'll perform at the major, and if you enjoyed that one, why don't you like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.